Moving ahead with this episode, we are going to talk about adjustment workflows. And it is important to note that adjustment workflow will be useful when you are using InfoBridge. InfoBridge was a topic we covered in season 1. Let me straight away jump on to the example. We are having the rows with country, city, and product. We have column with quarter scales, and we have two DAX measures, units 2024 actuals and standard selling price coming from the DAX measures. Now, let's quickly create a revenue plan for 2025 using these measures. So the first thing we are going to do is let's do some hygiene work here. Quickly get the column grand total on the left. We get into the scalings and create auto. And let's get the units with some suffix. And let's get prefix to the standard selling price. Let's expand this a bit. This looks neat and gets you more context on what exactly we are looking at. Now let's create a data input measure and say copy this from 2024 units. We'll call it 2025 units plan. And let's assume that we will maintain the same standard selling price throughout for the planning purpose. So we are now going to go ahead and create a formula measure. That's our revenue plan for 2025. And we will say units plan times standard sell price. Let this be summed by column aggregation and formula by row aggregation. Now let's hide the standard selling price because we are not going to change the price in this example. And we will hide the 2024 units actuals, which is our DAX measure. So all we need to do is we need to change the units in order to see the change in our revenue plan. So this time let's have 900K, and that changes our revenue and takes it to 90.08 million. Now let's create a bridge. We'll give a name to the project. We'll choose our workspace. We'll say next. Select our series that we want to move to bridge. We only want to take a revenue plan for 2025. The bridge was successfully created. Now let's take a look at the bridge. Let's quickly rename the query. Let's also click on Manage Source. Give a name to the source. Revenue plan. We can even schedule the refresh here. We can even see the refresh histories. We'll stay to general, and we see these measures coming from the report that we created, but we only got 2025 revenue plan inside the bridge. At any given point of time, if we want to add more measures from that report, we can come to the manage source option and we can select those measures. Right now, we are good with 2025 revenue plan. I'll just close this and I'll hit apply. Now let's go to the destination report. We have our destination report created, which is called as adjustment workflow, just for the ease of understanding this example. So let's take a look at the report structure. We have got the same dimensions. Remember that using InfoBridge, we need to map and match all the dimensions correctly. So we've got country name, city name, and product name here. We've got quarter in the column dimension, and we've got this measure from our semantic model, which is 2024 cost actuals. So rows and columns are supposed to be matched, which we have successfully done. Now let's quickly do some hygiene work here. Let's go to auto scaling. And now it's time for us to bring the revenue plan in this specific report. But before we do it, let's click on insert and create 2025 cost plan using the reference of 2024 cost actuals. All right, so we do not need the DAX measure for now. Let's click on Info Bridge, click on Manage Integration. We are clicking Manage Integration since we are going to integrate the bridge with this report. We'll say Add New. We'll go to Share Folders. And here we have got our query. We'll add. We see the mapped dimensions here between source and destination. We'll hit Add. Now it's time for us to create a bridge measure. We'll give the same nomenclature. Select the mapped query and then bring this specific measure. I'll just correct the nomenclature and then say create. We have got the measure from revenue model report to adjustment workflow report using InfoBridge. Now it's time for us to calculate the net profit plan, or let's say the profit plan for 2025. So I'll go to home. Instead of home, I'll click on insert and I'll create a formula measure and I will say 2025 profit plan. And I'll simply say 2025 revenue plan, which is my InfoBridge measure, minus 2025 cost plan. Create. Now we have revenue, we have cost. Cost is actually a data input measure that we have created, but revenue is a bridge measure. We cannot change this. For that, we are going to look at adjustment workflow. So in case if you still want the changes to happen, you will have to pass through the adjustment workflow. So we go to home. In settings, in display settings, we have got something called as miscellaneous. And here we have adjustment workflows. By default, it will always be enabled. What it means, in case if someone wants to make changes with the revenue numbers, if I click this and if I try to make any changes here, it will not be allowed. If I want to make changes with the root level or product name, let's say the last hierarchy, the moment I click it, it gives me an adjustment workflow icon. If I click this, I can actually request the value here. So right now it is 22 point, or let's say 22.18K. If I want to have it 30K, I can simply write 30K, assign a user. I'll call myself here and I'll add a comment and I'll submit. So this now triggers a workflow. That means I need to make changes from 22.18K to 30K, but I cannot do it here. That's a protocol and a governance rule. And that's why adjustment workflows works extremely well when you have connected planning environment. So this time we have air condition from Toronto where an adjustment workflow has been created. We want to change it. This task is going to trigger a specific email to my Outlook, and I can go inside this report through the link provided in Outlook, and I can directly jump onto this page, revenue model. Now, if I see in my notification, there is an adjustment notification appearing here. I'll click this. It'll tell me that in Canada, Toronto, for air condition, the value was planned for 22.177K. This has to be changed to 30K. So let's do that quickly. That's in Q2, and we'll slide this towards the right. This is the value for Canada, Toronto air condition. We cannot change this calculation measure, hence we'll have to change the data input measure. So I'll just close this and I'll say maybe 36% is what we need. So plus 36%, bump it by 36%. And yes, we are just over 30K. So it's still fine. We can go back to the notification and we can simply click here and we can straight away go ahead and submit this for review. Now let's see what we observe in adjustment workflow. So since it has come in review, you will see that you have got this in review option here. You can now go ahead and resolve this thread. So this value has been accepted. And now this completes the adjustment workflow exercise. This is a very important feature, especially for governing and protocols with respect to security in terms of how the numbers are changed by different users, especially when you are having two different reports or two different pages where the data is exchanged and moved using InfoBridge. See you in the next session.